Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we're going over the top 10 things you could do with your standalone VR headset besides just gaming. Now, even if you think you're only interested in VR games, or you're an OG gamer who thinks they know everything the MetaQuest has to offer, definitely stick around for this video, as I'm sure it'll offer up some surprises. Now, there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by the puzzle adventure title Epica. Epica is currently available for the MetaQuest, and it features a grand adventure in search of the first ever human civilization. Accompanied by your trusty dog Jack, you'll stumble upon an ancient evil that threatens all of mankind. This family-friendly adventure title is perfect for those who enjoy exploration and puzzle solving. It also delivers a captivating storyline, immerses you in some beautifully vibrant worlds, all while strengthening your bond with man's best friend. So if you're interested in checking this game out, there's a link down in the description. Now I know I mentioned the MetaQuest in today's intro, but many of these features are available on other standalone headsets, such as HTCs, Picos, and even the Apple Vision Pro. Now I'll be ordering these in ascending order based on how much I personally use them, but I'm sure your mileage may vary. And let's start things off with one of the newest features introduced by Meta, which is HDMI pass-through via a capture card. There's definitely a lot of misinformation and confusion surrounding this option, but to sum things up, there's different third-party USB-C capture card devices that you can purchase, and they will allow you to input the video source into your headset. Now, Meta stated that this was the #1 requested feature by users, but I just refuse to believe that, and I'm sure they misunderstood the assignment, as users actually wanted DisplayPort pass-through for lossless PC VR gaming. Regardless, this is an option that basically turns your Quest headset into its own personal TV, and there are definitely some viable use cases, like using your headset to fly a drone, or connecting it to a Steam Deck. Now, it's definitely still niche, less than ideal, and a bit cumbersome, but it's really cool to have multiple options. Now, I personally don't use this because I have a pair of X-Rail glasses that were $150 that not only work better in this aspect, but don't require a battery and are much less cumbersome. Now, if you're currently using this functionality, I would love to hear about it down in the comments. Now, another capability that doesn't get discussed that often is using the MetaQuest for productivity. Windows 11 has been updated to directly work with the MetaQuest, so you could use it for things like your primary or secondary screens, and you could even connect an array of different devices like your keyboard via Bluetooth. There's even third-party applications out there like Immersed, designed to enhance productivity-based capabilities. Now, hardware-wise, most standalone headsets just aren't there yet to replace the traditional desktop setup. But if you're traveling or the MetaQuest is your primary device, then it is a helpful option to have. And that extends right into using a standalone VR headset to replace the functionality of something like an iPad or a personal laptop. Most people only use these devices to browse the internet, maybe do some online shopping, or play some mini games. In that respect, with the underlying Android OS, the MetaQuest and other headsets can definitely keep up here. And once again, it might not be the ideal option, but definitely a useful alternative. Now, functions that definitely start to shine in VR are things like design work. VR gives you a whole new perspective, which is ideal for creating 3D objects. It's one thing to be able to visualize something on a screen and rotate it, but it's completely different to actually have the capability to physically move around that object and evaluate it from every different angle. Now, it doesn't matter if you're doing this for business or pleasure. There's a large array of different applications out there that you can use as a creative outlet. Now, I'm already showcasing them in the video, but just to name a few, we have Tilt Brush, Gravity Sketch, Vermilion, and Painting VR. Now, if you're interested, I'll include more of an extensive list down in the description. Now, a completely underrated feature of VR headsets is how they can allow you to explore the entire world from the comfort of your home. Not only are there applications similar to Google Earth, which allow you to fly down to any point on the planet, but there's also a slew of other art gallery and location-based experiences to explore. So you could stay grounded with a virtual tour or take it all the way up to the International Space Station. But all that traveling is bound to make you lonely, but don't worry because VR is an excellent tool for socializing. There's a lot more than just face-to-face conversations with silly avatars, as you could jump into applications like VR Chat, where people are basically living a second life. Now that might sound like hyperbole, but you can find things like sign language lessons and people teaching some dance classes. Basically any interest you have, from the mundane all the way to the bizarre like becoming a furry, has a group waiting in VR Chat. But if you're not into socializing and want to learn a few new skills, the MetaQuest is once again another amazing device. Applications like Piano Vision allow you to connect a digital keyboard, and then they'll give you a visual overlay instructing you on how to play. This is easily the most immersive way to learn, and in many ways it's better than having your own personal tutor. Now, I've personally spent tens of hours in an application called Nountown, which has allowed me to significantly expand my Italian vocabulary. They always say the best way to learn a language is to immerse yourself, and that's exactly what this does. You'll start off in a black and white world, but as you learn to properly pronounce things, they'll take on their real-life colors. Across the board, it's a fantastic application and I highly recommend it. But for most of us, our lives are already busy enough and we just want to chill. And this is where I recommend using the MetaQuest as your personal entertainment system. It can allow you to take a trip to the movies with applications like bigscreen, or you could use it for your favorite streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney+. It's a fantastic option when you're traveling, or if there's only one nice TV in your household. It's 1,000 times better than watching something on your phone, and both the video and audio quality is quite solid. Now, I'm definitely not throwing out my TV just yet, but it is a great option to have. And speaking of great options, wouldn't it be great to have access to all Microsoft Game Pass games and PCVR titles without a console or PC? Well, good news, because that functionality does exist. Game Pass is officially available for the MetaQuest, and it functions extremely well. I've connected both an Xbox controller and a PlayStation 5 controller to my headset and used it to play multiple different Xbox titles. Now, your experience will definitely depend on your internet service, but even with both the controller and internet latency, I was able to play through the rhythm-based game Hi-Fi Rush. I will admit it was definitely harder than normal to keep the beat, but still 100% playable. Now, I also mentioned PCVR games, which is coming via GeForce Now later this month. Now, it doesn't support VR titles at the moment, but imagine the only console you own in your house is the MetaQuest, and now you have access to games like Baldur's Gate 3 and Grand Theft Auto. It's a pretty sweet deal, and I highly recommend you check this out. And the final most obvious use case for VR, besides gaming, is fitness. Many VR games are already extremely physically active, and plenty of developers have jumped on this concept, creating full-fledged exercise routines. Now, I've tested just about every single VR fitness application, and the vast majority work extremely well, but what I love about them is they make fitness fun. I documented my overall experience where I spent 100 days straight in Supernatural, and it helped me get leaner than I've been in many years. The application made getting and keeping my heart rate up fun and easy. So instead of going, oh man, I gotta go to the gym and run on the treadmill for 30 to 45 minutes today, nope. I would just wake up in the morning, I would throw the headset on, and it would just push away all the cobwebs, the early morning fog that you gotta work through. That would be pushed aside. I'd listen to some great music, and I'd break a sweat and burn some calories. There's also a really nice variety of applications out there. So if you want something that feels more like a traditional workout, you have titles like Les Mills Body Combat and FitXR. Or if you want it to be as gamey as possible, where you're not thinking about working out at all, well then you could jump into Shardfall. And if you're worried about sweating out or funking up the headset, there's a whole bunch of accessories you can buy, ranging from a simple silicone cover all the way to more open and aerated face gaskets. So if you haven't tried your headset for working out yet, go ahead and give it a try and thank me later. And we'll end today's video off by chilling out with some VR meditation. The majority of us would definitely benefit by taking a few minutes out of their day and just finding a way to center yourself. Now, ideally, this should be done outside with the sunlight, and things like listening to the ocean or the birds chirp can have an extremely meditative effect, but many times those experiences just aren't practical. We can't just get up and go to the beach in the middle of the day, or the weather just isn't accommodating for something like this. So instead, you could jump into some VR guided meditation applications, which might immerse you in a beautiful nature-based world, or even give you something a bit more hypnotic. Now, I've tested both VR and phone applications for guided meditation, and it's undeniable that the enhanced immersion that virtual reality brings just gives you an all-around better experience. And that right there was today's video. I would love to hear what you guys use virtual reality for besides gaming, and if you have any additional questions, I'll do my best to answer you. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing.